my name is Manal Hakim. I'm an ASAP instructor with Fairfax County Government. And with us today is Amechi, also known as Nigerian Specimen on social media. He's going to be sharing his journey with alcohol. So tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. Grew up locally in the Sterling area and grew up in a Nigerian household. Have two younger sisters. Been an athlete my entire life. Ended up getting a scholarship to Norfolk State University, Southern Virginia, and played football out there. And that was actually where I tried to cure or combat my anxiety. Because in middle school, you know how in middle school you realize, you start thinking about what other people think. Well, that was when I started realizing for me, like, you want to be cool, you want to fit in, and that's when the anxiety started to set in. But college was where I started to cure it. But all in all, about me, grew up in a Nigerian household, got two younger sisters. My father, he goes back and forth, to America and Nigeria. My mom, who's very good with us. She's been with us the entire time.
Okay. So you were self-medicating the anxiety with alcohol, and it mostly started in college?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I started trying to combat the anxiety, because during football camp is before everybody comes. During transition week, which is where all the freshmen and all the people start moving back into campus, we were building up to it. All my teammates, they say it's pretty much a party for the week before school starts. And I remember the first night when we were getting ready to go, where the dorms would be, I drank, and I just remember that moment, that the anxiety feeling in my stomach went away. And my behavior that night, I wasn't thinking about what other people were thinking. I was in the moment, I was laughing, and I felt like, oh my God, okay, I found something that can help with this issue.
So when did you realize it's a problem?
Okay, when I realized it was a problem, I would say it started being a problem when I started being known as the person that drank on my college campus. Because when I was first drinking, it was just something that I did during going to parties or social events on campus, like pep rallies and things like that, because those situations were overwhelming for me. But then it started to grow into something that, oh no, you just drink on the weekends. Oh, now you're drinking during the week. Oh, now you're drinking before class. So you could be just drinking before class, drinking multiple times a week. I knew in my head, and you see, if you go on YouTube or you hear the common signs that you have alcohol problems is when you are drinking multiple times a week. So it's in the back of my mind, but no, I don't have a DUI or anything. So
Up until?
Oh my goodness, I know, right? My first DUI was, I was out of college and I was working a sales job, and I was coming back from a sales job. I was coming back from an event for my sales job, and I had been drinking that entire night, and on the ride back, I had fallen asleep on the road on Tyson's Corner, at a stoplight, and it was right on a bridge, and a cop came by and said, hey, license and registration, woke me up. So I was just and he had license and registration, so I just handed him my debit card. That's when, and just that situation. So now it's official. I have a DUI on my record, and that's when I knew, okay, it's a real problem, but it didn't hit me yet, to where I needed to really address it clearly.
Okay, so you continued drinking, and then what happened?
Yeah, I continued drinking. Well, after that DUI, I had stopped, for a little bit, just because I think that's what people do, especially when that situation, your first DUI. But I got back into it because I was working that sales job that I had built a crutch with alcohol, thinking that I performed better because I was doing so well. was doing better because I was loose on the phone. I had alcohol in me, so it was just a bad situation at that point. And then my second DUI came during that time while I was working there. I was driving to Georgetown, and apparently I was racing somebody. And I don't even remember the drive, but I crashed into like a median, totaled my car, and I just remember getting out of the car and walking to the bridge that's over the Potomac River that goes straight into Georgetown. And I was just sitting there waiting, and a cop just drove by and just saw me. That still wasn't enough to make me stop, and then I had my third one, and that was when I was like, okay, no, this just has to stop.
Tell us about your third DUI.
Yeah, the third DUI was a couple of years later. It was all towards the end of COVID, like 2021, and I was working from home, and so I was just drinking all day. I was drinking Tito's. It was Friday that night, and after I was done with work, I went to town center, one Loudon, and I was hanging out with friends and drinking at the bar and stuff like that. And I was going to another spot, and on the drive there, I do not remember at all. All I do is remember right before, and when I was driving there, I had T-boned these two women, and the reason why that moment, that situation was the last time is what made me know, like, I gotta stop, is because when I was in rehab, I was just thinking, just like, if they would have been going any faster, if I would have been going any slower, I would have hit the front of their car, you know what I mean? And it would have been worse than us just totally, our car being totaled and me just getting a DUI, you know what I mean? And so then I started also thinking, like, what, all the issues I have in my life, with my family, like, relationships, everything like that, I'm thinking alcohol is, even financial, alcohol is a common denominator. And then I'm also thinking, I just hit the back of I just hit these two nice women's cars. Every time I drink, I don't stop until I hit a brick wall. What other brick wall do I need? You know what I mean? What's the next brick wall? So, so I just had to, like, that's when I realized, hey, I have to stop. And I have ambition, I have things that I wanted that were just in my mind that I'm not addressing, I'm not going towards, and I'm using alcohol to distract me from what's just ruminating in my mind all the time. So I had to really address it, break out of the prison.
So when was your last drink?
Oh, okay, so my last drink was November 21st, 2021. So it's coming up on 4 years, and I've completely broken away from it. Luckily, I wasn't a person that had any physical, like, addictions, like when I stopped.
Withdrawals.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any withdrawals or anything like that. So when I was in the rehab, that gave me a little jump start. But after that, off the heels of that rehab, I was thinking, what is it that I'm passionate about that I could do for free that will supersede my desire to want to drink? And it was fitness. And I've always been a person that worked out, but I just did it as a chore, not as a chore, but just as a routine, because it was just what I did to keep connection as being an athlete. But I wanted to share my workouts online and just share my sobriety journey, not only to keep myself accountable, but just to motivate people and to show, like, hey, man, everybody, has their different form of therapy to keep them on the right path to just continue to be better and want more.
And you are inspiring others. Congratulations on your sobriety.
For sure, I appreciate it.
So what else has helped you cope with anxiety?
Yeah, so what I would say, another thing that definitely helped me, which was during my time in the rehab, was me getting closer to God, to be straightforward, because I have social anxiety, but what I realized with God, with my relationship, just getting closer to people that are very knowledgeable, a passage that really stuck with me was, everything happens perfectly under God's will. Because I'm always trying to control situations and make sure that I'm like perfect, or things don't go wrong, I don't look silly. But when you just lean back, relax, and just know like you approach situations with a good heart, and you know you're pure, like everything will be fine. You know,
God will take care of you.
God will take, even if you look silly or anything like that. You know that you're coming from a good place. The truth is all that matters, and that's what really helped me. That was another thing that really helped me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, any advice or closing statements you would like to make?
Yeah, because like I said, I stopped coming up on 4 years ago, and that wasn't the first time I stopped. I had went back and forth with it, battled with it, and I just want to tell people, man, give yourself grace. It is a battle, and get around people get away from the people that are drinking or that trigger that. Get away from situations, get away from environments that trigger that. You have to. And it doesn't have to be for the rest. It could be, it's ideally good for the rest of your life, but you have to go into solitude or just completely remove yourself for at least a couple of months, just so you can spiritually or just physically break away from that mental addiction that you have. And also, for me, what I recommend is just find something that you love, that you're passionate about, that supersedes your desire to want to drink. The reason why I believe that we drink is because we're not taking enough time to really learn ourselves and see exactly what we love. So we're just we're just distracting ourselves. But just take that time and see what do I love, and get into that. Replace that time that you're drinking with that. And I think that'll make it a lot easier. But man, good luck to everybody, and also get with Manal. She will definitely be able to help you as well. For sure.
Thank you. Your journey is so inspirational, and I want to thank you for sharing that and your time today.
Appreciate you, for sure. Let's see. Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.